Hello everyone, my name is Gurveen Kaur. I am lecturer at Praveen Patil College of Diploma Engineering and Technology. So we are continuing with chapter number 5, and the topic which we are going to cover in chapter number 5 is management measures. The first part in management measures is rainwater harvesting. Now, rainwater harvesting is, a very popular technique which is used in outer countries as compared to India. This is a technique where, we are capturing the water which is consumed. We are capturing the rainwater during the rainy season, and after capturing, we are storing that water, and that water is utilized for further purposes, for further different domestic purposes. Now, this concept is not as famous as which it is in the outer countries. The reason is the outer country people, they usually live in row houses or open areas. So when they are living in that area, they are having several facilities and several privileges available, and those countries are very much ahead in terms of technology. So they have this type of arrangement, and that arrangement is already created. Okay, that type of arrangement is included in the system only when the houses are being constructed. At that time only all those type of settings are done in such a manner that during any season the water gets accumulated, and when that water gets accumulated they can use it for many other different purposes. But if we talk about India, over here the population is very vast, and water facilities are not much as compared to outer countries. Here there are many parts of India where we lack for water facilities, or somewhere we get only half an hour water and we have to store that water for the usage of throughout day. Only some part of Mumbai we can say there is 24-hour water supply, and even many parts of the country. So this technique, people are not having any idea regarding that. I guess only 20 to 30% people must be having idea, and the rest the students must be having, because this type of concept they have studied in school. So this is a very good technique where water gets stored and utilized properly. Objectives of rainwater harvesting is what? First of all, to meet the increasing demands. As the demand increases, the requirement of the water also increases. Then water table rising will be there, because the groundwater will be rising. Okay, water contamination will not be there, because directly the water is getting stored to a place, and from there there is no need of filtration, and we'll use the water directly. Okay, then surface runoff is also not there, because if water in the forest area, what happens, the water from the steep slope runs down and gets accumulated to a place where it is empty. So over here runoff is only not there, then there will be no contamination of the water, there will be no soil erosion. Then hydrostatic pressure also increases, because the water is stored in a large amount over here. Then water crisis is reduced, water conflicts is reduced. The advanced version of rainwater harvesting is rooftop rainwater harvesting. Now these countries, they are having a technique that is rooftop, where they are using a rooftop which is steep in slope, so the water flows from there. When the water flows from there, the water is collected through by a PVC or aluminum pipe, and that water directly gets stored in the pit. The pit will be filled with sand, gravels, and all those things. Why they will be filled? Because when the water will pass through that, so any type of germs or something, whatever will be there, sorry, not germs, any type of dirt, it will be cleared when they will pass through these sand and gravels. Okay, so this is what basically rainwater harvesting is all about. Advantages we all know: reduces the use of current. Directly water storage is there, no current facility will be required. We will prevent drought, because water is stored. Water level in the wells will be raised. Okay, groundwater level will be raised, soil erosion will be minimized, flood hazards will not be there, because water is getting stored. Then social and environmental status will be upgraded, and future generation will be assured of water. Next concept is groundwater recharge. Now groundwater recharge, in this concept what is happening, the water, first of all, groundwater recharge is also called as deep drainage or deep percolation. Okay, in this process what happens, the water which is accumulated with the help of rainwater, that water first of all is on the surface area. Okay, that water is on the surface area, and that water moves from surface area to the ground. So recharge over here plays a very important role, because when the water enters into the aquifers, means below the ground level area, okay, after entering, it enters in the vadose zone. Vadose zone means it enters in the unsaturated zone. Once they enter the unsaturated zone, that zone is below the plant roots, so that water gets accumulated near the roots. Okay, so when it is accumulated near the roots, a flux is formed on the water table surface. So when the water is moving from the table, when the water moves from unsaturated zone to the saturated zone, whatever recharge encompasses over there, okay, then recharge, when water is shifting, plants are also getting the water, and the recharge process is also done. And recharge both can occur naturally also, that is through the help of water cycle, and through different processes can be artificial groundwater recharge. These process Groundwater recharge is a natural process when the water flows from one place to another, okay, and artificial is artificially created while moving the water, okay, where rainwater is rooted to the subsurface water. From surface, the water gets stored to the subsurface water. So this was groundwater recharge. Now green belt development. Green belt development is a very good and important process. Okay, this you can say it is a policy which the people are using. In this committee, what they are doing, they are saving the land. Okay, whatever land is there, the designation of that land is saved. That land is only used for wildlife, for agriculture, or for plants, only for the environment. This type of land are only kept for environmental work. No other people, no communities, no malls, no commercial areas, no urban areas, nothing commercial can be created on this land. So they're trying to develop this kind of land more and more, so that a green belt is created. So when a green belt is created, it will become an area where development of the wildlife can be done properly, wildlife and species can be nurtured properly. The balance which we are losing, we can establish that balance again. We can get that level again. So this is what green belt development all about, and the purposes are given over here. So those who are having these policies, first what they have purpose to protect the natural and semi-natural environment, improving the quality of the air in the urban areas, okay, ensuring that the urban developers, means the urban people in the country, okay, they are getting a proper education also, and also they are getting recreational opportunities where they can create or help with this green development idea. Then protecting the unique species, okay, of the rural communities. Even rural communities, when they take care, okay, over there are many, you will find many species they are nurturing. So it's important to take care of that. And green belt development has many benefits also, like walking, camping, biking areas, okay, to like advertising to cities and towns, okay. Then improve contiguous habitat network for wildlife, plant life and animal life. So what is happening over here? Contiguous means a continuous area, a comfort zone we are creating for the wildlife, for the environmental people, so that they can nurture in that area. Cleaner air, cleaner water, then better we are using the land for better purposes instead of destroying it. Then the next one is the watershed management. We have already understood what is watershed management. Watershed management, again, you can say a part of rainwater harvesting. It can be used as a rainwater harvesting. Okay, over here, what happens? The water in the forest areas, what happens from the top of the mountain, when the rain falls, the water flows through the steep, okay, and it comes down. When it comes down from all the areas, like all the mountain areas, so wherever there is a place available, or wherever there is a empty ground, or a well type area which is steep, all the water gets accumulated in that. The only disadvantage of watershed management is that if it is in the forest area, so there are chances of all the dirt there are chances that all the dirt might get mixed up with the water and accumulate in the ground level. There are chances that this may happen. Why? Because the water run off from a top level, so all the dirt also get mixed up when it flows down. Okay, runoff water, so and the soil will become contaminated. Soil erosion will be there. There are many purposes happen, but in watershed management, in terms of city areas, urban areas, what is happening? They are creating the roof in a steep manner. That the scenery which students used to draw, no, you during your childhood, whatever's scenery you all used to draw, like we used to draw a steep roof. Okay, so here also same thing happens. They are designing the home over there in such a manner that the roof is steep. So when the roof is steep, what will happen? The water will flow down from the roof. It will flow down. They are having pipes attached to it on the edge, so from that the water flows through the pipe, and from when the water flows through the pipe, that falls in the pit. The same concept I'm repeating again. So this water, they get accumulated and gets stored. So no hard work is done over here. The water is naturally getting stored. Only we have to get this type of watershed management installed at our home. So this technique is not used over here. I hope that the construction designers or developers, they introduce this type of concept to at least to the row houses, or even the rooftop of the building also. This type of concept is very useful, because the water will get stored, not for ample amount purpose, at least small amount only will be very helpful. When water will be stored, then there will be no waste water accumulated on the roads. No blockage will be there. Why blockage is there on the road? Because we are not having any place for the water to move. So what will happen? It will accumulate over there only. But if this concept is used in each and every building, in every area, so you can understand that how much water will be stored. For a building, maybe that water will be in smaller levels, but this will stop the blockages. This will stop the number of people dying out there, because when we walk when the water is blocked on the road, people are walking on the road, they are not having any idea about the pits and holes they might fall, and due to blockage they confuse it with the path and they fall down and die. Many people die during raining seasons. So all these things should be considered, and this type of concept should be introduced in our daily life. This can be done by the developers who are constructing the designs or constructing the buildings. So all those things can be done by these type of people. Objectives again is the same whatever we have studied. Flood will minimizing the risk of the flood, improving the economy will also be improved, because we will not require excess machinery or excess new techniques to clean the water. That over there economy will be improved. Developmental activities will be there. People will be aware. Employment opportunities will be there, because this project will be installed on a larger pace, will require larger employment. So employment will be there. Again over here it will lead to economy rising. Okay, then forestry will be promoted. Soil erosion will be protected. Then soil from erosion will be protected. Watershed management techniques, different names are given: trenches, earthen dam, farm pond. These are the names techniques which are provided in watershed management. The last part in management measures is interlinking of rivers. Over here, civil engineering plays a very important role, because they are getting a project, okay, where the Indian rivers are required to be interlinked all together. It is a very large scale product. Okay, it should be effectively managed, because all the water resources of India will be linked together by a network of reservoir, by a network of canal. Okay, due to which what will happen, the irrigation process will be enhanced. Groundwater recharge will be there. Persistent flood reduction will be there, because the levels will be managed. Since all the rivers will be interconnected to each other, there are rivers present where the water levels are very low, and there are rivers where the water levels are very excess. So what happens when these two things come together? All the levels will be equal in all the areas, so no flood will be there, no drought will be there in some areas, no flood will be there in some area. This is a very large scale project, and this should be completed, so that it will have a very good advantage or good impact for the future generation. Okay, and over here it is mentioned that 18% of the world population is there, and only 4% of the water resources are there. So we require certain solution. Linking might be one of the best ways where water consuming water facilities will be improved. And this project was split into three parts. First part is in the northern Himalaya rivers, okay, then southern peninsular, okay, and so what happened over here, this project, it was started in 2005 from an interstate river linking component. First it is being done on the interstate level, then all the rivers will be linked up together. This project is managed by India's National Water Development Agency, that is NWDA, under the Ministry of the Water Resources. Okay, they have prepared report on 14 interlinked projects. Okay, first we are talking about Himalayan component. Over there 14 projects are being established and 16 projects are established in the peninsular area, and in interstate area 37 projects have been established. So you can understand on how large scale this might be working. I hope this gets complete properly and everyone gets advantage of this. Okay, now average rainfall in India is for about 4,000 billion cubic meters. Okay, but in most of the areas rainfall comes in the 4-month period, that is June through September. Okay, and uniform raining season is not there throughout the year. Some areas will get very less rain, some area will get most of the rain. So this way what happens, equal levels is not there. So that equal level can be maintained with the help of these projects, because the linking will be there, water will be on the same level throughout the country. So we also know that we see the excess monsoon causes flood, okay, and late monsoon causes drought. So this problem will be solved. Okay, then there are many water security options will also be available. Water levels will rise, so all the people will get proper privilege of the water, since these water are pure water. So there will be less issue or risk of filtering and all those stuff. So I think this is a very good project, and I hope that this should complete properly. All the link up should be done properly, so that each and every part of India will have equal access to water bodies, and even the areas where there is larger amount of rains, even over there will be no flood, because the water level will manage, and the water will be moved to the areas where the water levels are very low. Like suppose we talk about Rajasthan, the water levels will move to that area. So this will create a balance. So in the places which used to get flooded will not get flooded, and where drought is there, drought will not be there. So this is a very beneficial, important project. I hope it's get completed properly, established properly. So by this we have completed this management measures topic.